So continuing to our previous session on knowledge creation, today we are going to discuss the key aspects of knowledge creation. The process for generating, we now know that how important the process, and we have already learned about the process of knowledge creation, that is how to acquire or generate or develop or foster a learning process and a knowledge development process in the organization. So what are the key aspects? We will be discussing it now. So we see that the process for generating the innovative ideas and knowledge, like brainstorming, where the startups, they often employ collaborative brainstorming session. For example, holding a meeting on certain issues and asking people to contribute their ideas, their maybe their experiences, to share their experiences that they have had on that domain or on those issues. So they come out with creative ideas or maybe creative solutions. These members, while discussing, they give out their own insights, their own visions, their own perspectives, that what they think about it, and they contribute. And then maybe after discussing the things and getting the things from different people, board of studies maybe, or maybe board meetings are held from time to time, and sometimes we also call people from outside, the experts from outside, who can share better wisdom and better ideas. So here the things are done through, the knowledge is created or generated through brainstorming, that is trying to take out the best from different members who are brought together to discuss the issue, and then taking the decision on the basis of that. Another way of this knowledge creation is design thinking. Design thinking methodology is, to empathize with end users, define problem areas, maybe ideate the solutions, and prototype the innovative products or services. Here, what you do, you just try to understand, try to enter the shoes of the final users or consumers. That if this product is put into the market, then how will it be taken up by the consumers? How will it be taken by the maybe other people, other stakeholders? And then you try to, define the problem areas, that okay, maybe this they won't like this. If we go to this kind of group, they have different desires, or they have different wants, or they are a different income group. So this issue with the different income groups, how to be handled? So here we try to find out by just trying, after empathizing, with the final consumers or final users. And then we come out with the solution, and then we try to develop the product or services on the basis of those solutions. Customers' feedback is also often taking, that is, we engage the customers. For example, you must have seen that in restaurants sometimes, or if you go to some shopping malls, there are feedback forms that they are requesting you to fill for the services they have given to you, for the food, quality of food, and your feedback taken up by them. That helps them to understand the gaps, or that helps them to understand that what should be done more in order to satisfy the consumers or provide better services and goods to them, because consumer-centric approach always leads to first-hand, knowledge creation. Here, then we also go for cross-functional collaboration by encouraging, what do we do? We encourage the collaboration among individuals with diverse skill sets and maybe backgrounds, to bring different expertise in order to solve the problem and bring the idea into the work out a solution and bring out some goods or services accordingly. So sometimes it depends, whatever method you or whatever process you want to adopt, it depends upon the nature of product and services, it depends upon the requirement of the organization. So first aspect is process for generating the innovative ideas, and the second is harnessing creativity and fostering a culture of continuous learning. How do we harness a culture, to foster a culture for continuous learning? As I said, maybe we hold the training programs, we hold some innovative workshops, we can allow our human capital or human force to participate in certain conferences, in certain workshops where they are uh, they are being trained for the new thing, or they are developed towards innovative thinking. How to they help them in making more efficient practices. Maybe so workshops and conferences and maybe refresher courses, all these programs, sending them for into the market, for staying with the people, talking to them, discussing your issues, those things. Then there can be experimentation and prototyping. Because allowing your team to go for experiment or prototype, that you encourage a culture of learning or curiosity, I should say. Encouraging a culture of curiosity in order to know more, and that craving to come out with something new. So testing and experiment, you have to spend money on that. Maybe you will have to fix labs, or maybe you will have to send them to different marketplaces or different areas in order to explore things and live with those end users or consumers. So just to experiment things, maybe you will have to distribute it for free samples also, just to experiment that how consumers are taking up your product. So if whether they will be liked or not liked, if not liked, it will be a better learning for you, how to improve, where to improve. Then continuous learning program should be also be organized, uh, sending them to different maybe training sessions, maybe some different seminars that are to be held. So they go there, they learn things and come back, and they try them on in the organization in order to bring out more creativity and innovations in the organization. There should also be a support of our entrepreneurship, that is, you are sending them to different organization within the you are sending them sorry you are within the organization, you are nurturing them, you are allowing them to explore and adopt and experiment and uh, bring in more ideas, and you just try it. For example, maybe you say that, okay, if you are with this idea, then I'm allowing you to just try it out here. So this way you harness creativity and you encourage a culture of continuous learning, with the development and giving more exposure by developing, not only development but also providing them more exposure to something new and different, which was not already existing in your organization. Then next way is balancing the formal and informal knowledge creation method, that is blending the theory and concept with the practical part, that is experiential learning. So formal knowledge maybe should be implemented, it should be implemented in the system for maybe documentation part, but once it is implemented, the practical outcomes must also be taken into consideration in order to come out with more creative and more brighter ideas. So this way we say that formal knowledge should be managed. Informal communication should also be brought in along with that. That is because everything very formal all the time makes it very dry, and therefore we say that maybe the team meetings, casual conversations, there should be an environment that should be generated for friendly talks, friendly discussions, and maybe whatever comes to your mind, you are allowed. In a very conducive environment, whatever comes in your mind, and you just start discussing, you just start sharing with you have anything new, and you just go to your boss and you talk to him that, yeah, this is something, and I think if we can implement this, let us try it out. So that informal communication channels must be encouraged, where there has to be digital collaborations and digital platform. Uh, Knowledge will be exchanged in a much better way if the things are more informal. Then another thing must be encouraged, or maybe taken attention should be paid, that failures should not be taken negatively. Failures have to be taken in a very positive way, because failures lead us to learn better in a better way. Once we fail, we know each and every in depth reasons. We must try to understand those reasons, and then we must work on how to come out of those things. That leads to knowledge creation, as well as further growth also, because maybe taking this as a lesson, we try to improve ourselves, and we are not going to uh, follow the same mistakes in future. So we have to provide a very conducive and very open environment for and which encourages the communication, discussion, and the problems that they have faced, and how they have come across, and how they have tried to tackle all those things. And last is the mentorship programs. As already said, that maybe mentorship, that is where the people or those members of your group who are already experienced, they are seniors, they have scaled up through different learning and experiences. Now they are a rich intellectual capital. They can go for mentoring to the juniors, or those who are at the lower level of the organization, because sharing their experiences and sharing their knowledge with the fresh ones or the junior ones, that will always help in transferring the knowledge, passing on. And the juniors, maybe, or the people who are in the lower layer, they will not be making or committing those mistakes because of the experience of their seniors. So this way we can say that it is knowledge creation. It is a very structured process for generating innovative ideas, fostering a culture of continuous learning, uh, and striking a balance between formal and informal methods. An entrepreneur or the boss has to take care of these aspects, so that he can create or generate and also sustain an environment for uh, knowledge creation and knowledge sustenance in the organization. And therefore, because we see that successful startups, they cultivate an environment which values creativity as well as experimentation and collaboration, allowing them to stay agile, adaptive, and at the forefront of innovation in their respective industry. So this must be encouraged to boost knowledge creation and knowledge sustenance in the organization. So this was about the aspects of knowledge creation. Now we come to the next, that is knowledge acquisition strategies for entrepreneurs. What should be the strategies for knowledge acquisition? How should it be done? So what we find is that it is because knowledge acquisition helps any organization or anybody, even as an individual or as a group or any business. It it is very important for anybody to stay informed, very innovative and adaptive also, in order to sustain in the market. So knowledge acquisition is something very basic. Since we have been discussing in the last sessions also that it is the basic thing which is needed for any business men to remain informed, updated, innovative and adaptive also. So through techniques like comprehensive market research or competitor analysis, they gain insight into the industry trends, and they also identify the potential areas for potential areas why this gap is existing in my organization from others. Though, so they very quickly and actively, entrepreneurs, they build network by participating in maybe events or joining the industry associations and forming a strategic partnership. And they also, enhance or encourage the knowledge exchange with professional and industry leaders. So, when you embrace or when you try to adopt the open innovation, entrepreneurs, they always leverage the crowdsourcing platforms and collaborative communities to access external expertise and diverse perspectives. And in addition to that, they also engage with the consulting services, maybe the advisory network. As I said, maybe you can meet the accountants, maybe you can professional accountants, you can meet the chartered accountants, for example, the lawyers, commercial lawyers, you can meet the other people who are, who can give you advices and who have better solutions to the existing. So here, you have to continuously engage yourself with consulting agencies, consulting services or agencies and advisory networks, and university collaboration may also, enhance your access to some specialized knowledge and insights. Why do we say that university collaboration helps a lot? Because it is at university or academics level that lots of researches are going on in different domain. Maybe we have the engineering colleges, they are working on certain products and services all the time. So what is latest in the market, what is being under research, you can always, get in touch with those and collaborate with them to learn more how to update your product with different researches. Maybe to understand the marketing and management, you can collaborate with other departments of the university or academics in order to update yourself and keep yourself informed. Because it will always help you to make, quick decisions, and even in fact, I would say that decision before time, before making a mistake. Before time means before committing a mistake. And if you understand from the existing researches that in future this change is going to happen, this trend is going to change, then maybe you can upgrade your production strategy or your selling strategies accordingly. So entrepreneurs, they obviously they thrive on their ability to acquire and leverage the knowledge from various sources to drive, in order to go for innovations and build up their business. But there are some key strategies for knowledge acquisitions. So let us see what are those. First is the techniques for entrepreneurs to acquire the external knowledge. What should be those techniques? First, we can go for market research, as already we have been discussing. We must analyze our competitor because market research will enhance your knowledge, because it will be, it will give you and it will help you to acquire the external insights from the market. Networking can be a fundamental approach involving, active participation in the industry events. Maybe, as we said, conferences or professional groups to connect with the peers or maybe with the mentors and potential collaborators. Maybe you go to some more mature firm or organization that is already existing in the product that you are dealing with. You take mentoring from them, you discuss things with them. Maybe you engage yourself in some mentoring programs, provide you enter into you engage yourself in mentoring programs, provide very valuable avenues for gaining insights from the experienced individuals who have navigated similar challenges. As I said, that maybe from some senior the firms who are older to you, maybe you can go to them and you can exchange thought process with them. And in addition to them, you can also explore the online platform. For example, forums, webinars, and social media communities, in order to tap into the global pool of knowledge. Uh, and that must be done. That must be done on and on, because you must be aware of what is happening globally, not only in your country but globally. You can collaborate with academic institutions, research organizations, and maybe you can come into contact with people holding the specialized knowledge in order to do that. These are so many things. Maybe you can also another way is you can go for a strategic partnership or collaboration with other businesses who are of the same domain, in order to exchange your ideas and expertise, and you can access to the complementary skills, fostering a very continuous flow of external knowledge into their ventures. So there are some ways, like you go into market research, you analyze your competitors, and you build the networks, etc., as we have already discussed. So let us just know that what is building networks, partnership and collaboration. It is very important for startup, because you cannot work in isolation. You are not on an island. You have to work with the people, you have to work with the full team. So that has to be you have to collaborate with people, you have to meet them, you have to, maybe informal or maybe formal, whatever is more suitable for you. For all the firms in that industry can decide for that. So because by developing some relationship formally or informally with your industry groups, or research institution, or maybe potential collaborators, you can tap into wealth of external expertise. You can learn from their experiences, from their experiments. You don't need to go into all those things again, doing them yourself or going through that again yourself. With their already learned lesson, you can take advantage of. So because these connection will facilitate the not only exchange of knowledge, but also the best practices and innovative ideas also that are available or that are in trend in the market. It also sometimes leads to this kind of knowledge partnership with other firms, may also provide you an opportunity for joint ventures, maybe co-development of products or services, and maybe you can go for a shared research initiatives also. And because this will boost the strength and enhance your learning curve. Because you are not doing it alone, you have lots of people around with whom you are networking, you are collaborating, you are joining hands. And then you are learning because of others also, and your knowledge is also shared to them. So this way you can have a bigger space and bigger knowledge domain. So ultimately what happens, that actively building and nurturing the networks and collaboration becomes more instrumental in developing a culture of continuous learning, driving innovation, and you're making you more adaptable and strong to stand very competitively in the dynamic entrepreneurial landscape. Next is the innovation, open innovation and accessing the external expertise. Open innovation, it involves actively seeking and incorporating external expertise and ideas to enhance the innovation process. So, unlike the traditional closed innovative models, where ideas are developed internally, where in open innovation, it encourages the collaboration with external partners, maybe including your customers also, suppliers, research institutions, and other businesses, whoever can contribute to that, contribute to that innovation. Whoever have a better thing, or whoever have a very different thing to contribute, that allows a better innovation. So by tapping, into a broader pool of knowledge and skills, your business can further grow your innovation cycles. You can access diverse perspectives, and also you can strengthen the external, use the external expertise in order to meet the challenges in a more easy way, and in a better way also. Maybe alone you couldn't come up with those ideas which you are, or those learnings which you are learning from others. So this collaborative approach promotes a dynamic ecosystem where knowledge flows more freely, maybe enabling the startups to stay agile, adapt to market changes, and create more impactful solutions. So accessing the external expertise, it becomes a strategic advantage, promoting creativity and increasing the likelihood of successful innovation and marketing, market competitiveness for your business. So it can be your crowdsourcing, as we said, that is leveraging external crowdsourcing platforms to gather ideas, solutions and feedbacks from diverse individuals. Then we can go for collaborating platforms. Collaborative, in this what we do, maybe we go for an online communities, we connect with them. Online communities might include the experts, the mentors, the potential collaborators. Then next, maybe we can go for consulting and advisory services. For example, here we can seek the expertise of consultants or advisors in a specific domain with a specialized knowledge in order to gain the insights and guidance from them. And finally, as said, that university and research collaboration can also be a good source of knowledge. So we can come to conclude or agree upon that through practical knowledge acquisition, entrepreneurs, they stay abreast about the market changes, and they can position themselves in order to make informed decisions, innovate and adapt to challenges in the business landscape. So building a diverse network, forming a strategic partnership and embracing open innovation is very important for entrepreneurs aiming to access the external knowledge and stay competitive in their industries. We discussed this much, and we will continue to the next part in the next session with some more interesting examples to understand that how this knowledge creation help some of the big businesses, and how it has, lack of this has created problem. Thank you.